Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron Challoner, aka the CHALL, your sporting vlogger journalist, and today is all about LaMarcus Aldridge. Guaranteed NBA Hall of Famer, long term. NBA Hall of Famer, guaranteed. He's put up some excellent stats over his career. The question surrounding LaMarcus in this video is, what is next for LaMarcus Aldridge? He's a top experienced free agent. He's there in the market. Who will go in for him? So what I've done is, I've gone through his stats this year. I've gone through 5 potential options for him and why, and also share my final thoughts and come up with a deciding choice at the end of the video. So, before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you never miss a YouTube video. And for now, let's have a look at LaMarcus Aldridge and where he could go next. So LaMarcus Aldridge just finished up his last season where he was in 2022, which is of course Brooklyn. Now this guy is a legend, no doubt NBA Hall of Famer. In 2022 he gained 12.9 points, 5.4 field goals made, 9.7 field goals attempted, 55% field goal percentage, 0.3 on the 3-point made, 1 on the 3-point average, 3-point percentage 30.4%. The free throws, he made 1.9, attempted 2.2, and percentage 87.3. Now those are some okay stats. They're not the greatest, but they are just okay. They're decent enough. Now, obviously, it's going to be very, very interesting to see exactly where he's going to end up next. And I've decided to come up with a list of 5 potential teams to decide basically where he's going to go next. So, let's go through our first option, the Golden State Warriors. This is LaMarcus's best opportunity at a championship. With Aldridge being a center and a power forward, this adds experienced versatility to the Golden State roster. The Warriors are hoping to get Wiseman back after he missed the entire of last season, and they re-signed their starting center from last season, Kevin Looney, in the free agency already. They'll be getting a decent scorer from inside the arc with LaMarcus Aldridge. He shot 30.4% on threes last season, which isn't all that bad considering how much Aldridge struggled as a shooter earlier in his career. Warriors do need, though, another scorer. Now, what I did was I put this guy's stats with the stats of the Warriors players from last season. Now, he is 4th in free throw percentage, below Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry. 3rd in field goals percentage, below Gary Payton II and Kevin Looney, but he is just outside the top 10 in 3-point percentage. Now, his statistic of 12.9 points per game in the 2021-2022 campaign puts him 5th in line, below Wiggins, as well as Poole, Thompson, and Curry once again. An experienced acquisition for sure for a Warriors roster chasing another NBA championship. Now, let's go into team number 2, the Boston Celtics. Now, Clutch Points, which is an NBA basketball news website, I agree with them here. The Boston Celtics may have the deepest roster of any team in the NBA right now, but the one area of interest that they need, really, is another big man for the bench. They usually run a double big starting lineup with Al Horford and Robert Williams III, but after there isn't a lot of support for them on the bench. But that's where Aldridge comes in and helps out. The Celtics have a lot of outside scorers on their roster, and I don't have a true paint presence aside from Williams. Aldridge could offer a bit of a unique skill set off the bench for Boston if he was to go down to the Celtics and sign. His inside scoring would help open up the perimeter for the C's and keep their offense flowing when it goes through one of its painted and cold stretches. If Boston could fill in this final hole in the roster, they'd have to be a title favourites heading into the 22-23 season, or one of the title favourites. Bringing Aldridge would fill only their real hole on the roster as of now, and his offensive skill set is exactly what the team would be looking to incorporate into their game plan. The Celtics did come up short in the finals last season, but adding Aldridge could be the final move of the jigsaw puzzle to help them win it all next season and take that final step. I think Boston's in a very, very safe position. I know they still need to fill that hole in, but I think they're one of the safer teams in the NBA going into the free agency market. And in fact, they were one of the safest teams going into the draft this season, because for me, Boston Celtics were literally just 1 or 2 players away from having a title challenging squad once again. So for me, I think Boston Celtics is literally, if they bring someone like LaMarcus Aldridge in, just to give him that experience and assistance off the bench, and that sort of rotation with the starting lineup, for me, I think Celtics could be within a real chance of the title this season. Now let's go into team number 3. And this one is an interesting one. The reason why I've gone with this is because of a couple of different reasons. It is the New York Knicks. Now, they have a pretty subpar centre rotation of Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein and Jericho Sims that needs a lot of work. Aldridge could be the answer to making it work. Now, Robinson is a solid two-way centre who's guaranteed to start pretty much most games, in my opinion. But Aldridge would easily have the spot on the bench for the Knicks, which, for me, I believe will be his role at any of these teams, which does make me doubt Golden State Warriors a lot more, because they need someone who's going to be involved in that starting lineup for me with the Warriors. So, for me, I think Aldridge won't be guaranteed enough game time at the Warriors. So, someone like the Knicks would be a better move for LaMarcus going forward. Now, he's a solid scoring option inside the three-point line for a Knicks team that has a lot of shooters on their roster currently, but the fact they have a lot of shooters already could put them off, so this could be a reason against the Knicks because of the fact they already have a lot of shooters. However, Aldridge, compared to the Knicks' top scorers, he makes it into the top 3 for field goal percentage and 4th in free throw percentage, but 3rd from bottom in those that comport the numbers in three-point percentage. That change of pace in Aldridge could be just what the bench needs, though. Hartenstein is a slightly better defender than Aldridge, but when New York would need an offensive spark, Aldridge is the guy to turn to. He may not be the most conventional option for New York, but they could swing a big trade over the next few days that would shake up their roster. If that was the case, it would make a lot of sense for them to look to bring Aldridge onto a cheap deal. Now, of course, money is a deciding factor. Would Aldridge want a cheaper deal? Up to the player, up to the club. Now let's go into team number 4, Miami Heat. An NBA exclusive recently spoke to Sean Devaney of Heavy.com and told he believes Aldridge would be an excellent addition. He said Aldridge is 37 now, and it would not be a surprise if he decided on retiring, but he still can score. He still has some value out there. He'd be a nice fit in Boston, just as a guy who can knock down some shots or step in when Rob or Al needs a break. Bucks and Heat too, every team in the East, at the top of the East. Miami needs that one piece, that one big guy to push them over the top, and Aldridge could take some of PJ Tucker's minutes, since PJ Tucker is now at the Philadelphia 76ers, though he's obviously not on the same level as a defender. He can shoot it though, and Miami needs depth there. He's not going to be a starter, but he can help. And like I said, he can fill the void left when PJ Tucker signed for the Philadelphia 76ers. So for me, I think he fills that slot from PJ Tucker leaving quite clearly. So I think that would be the reason for him going to the Heat. But I didn't go with the Bucks for my 5th team option. I went with the Portland Trailblazers. The Blazers need size, depth and veteran liability, particularly in the front court, and this potential deal alongside a possible deal for DeMarcus Cousins as well may not be possible, however. As the Blazers Edge mailbag explains, the Blazers have a reasonable mix of established talent and youth on the roster right now, but little experience together, at least in this combination. In addition, most every player outside of Damian Lillard is trying in one way or another to establish themselves. Anthony Simmons will be stepping into a starting role for the first time. Jeremy Grant is trying to make the leap from really good player to bona fide star with the right to minutes and shots that the status entails. Jusuf Nurkic wants a consistent big offensive role. Nasir Little is working towards the starting lineup and a new contract. Josh Hart is in a potential contract year. Heck, even Lillard is coming off an almost year-long injury following the worst season of his career. Under these conditions, the Blazers individually are likely to attack the season like a pack of wolves, going after Grandma's meatloaf. This isn't a bad thing. Competition and forward momentum, possibly harnessed, can bring out the best in its team and its players. Now, if you throw Cousins and Aldridge into the mix, Aldridge 37, Cousins 32, both have been NBA All-Stars, Both have been NBA superstars. If they play, they're going to be fighting to show they can still belong in reasonably big roles. That's fair enough. Their name value and history are the exact reasons you should want them and not random centre X. However, having established themselves at that level though, they're not going to be able to cede their position and priorities while remaining useful. Trendon Watford and Drew Eubanks, the current front court reserves, are trying to establish themselves as well. Nobody's going to scream, including them, if they can't do it yet. Watford and Eubanks would be able to handle playing 5 or 0 minutes off the bench. Aldridge and Cousins would not. Why are they even here if they're not going to play? Bringing those former stars on board, the Blazers would be committing at some level to an immutable block of space in the rotation granted to them, not based on current performance, but on history and reputation. Meanwhile, everybody else, including Portland's best players, will still be expected to scrape and scrap for their minutes and touches. This year, the Blazers mailbag is guessing the Blazers will get their young guys some burn, then wait to see how their new lineup gels before determining how to patch holes. If Nurkic or Grant go down to long-term injury, they'll start casting for replacements then, knowing their exact need. Until then, they don't foresee them chasing more established names to add to their lineup. So there's the 5 teams in question: the Warriors, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Heat, and the Trailblazers. Now let's put them in order of probability as to where they are heading. So there we are, reasons for and against all 5 teams. Now, of course, I could have put the Milwaukee Bucks on there, but for me, I don't think that was a plausible idea. But let's look at the 5 teams in question and let's sort of give them a percentage probability each. So I'm going to start with 2 teams that I believe have a 10% chance of getting him. So the 2 teams that I think have the least chance of getting him, I believe, are the Portland Trailblazers and the Golden State Warriors. I think the Golden State Warriors, you know, I think they'll be looking for more rotational players to build on an already strong squad that won the title. So for me, I don't feel like the Warriors need that kind of Aldridge player. Trailblazers, they said it in the email with the fan mailbag thing. They don't need established names. They need their young guys to burn some minutes. So 10% and 10%, so you've got 80% left to use. I'm going to give 20% to Miami Heat. I think replacing PJ Tucker with someone like an Aldridge would be a good decision. But how probable and how likely it's going to happen, I don't personally know. We've got 60% left, so I'm going to use 20% on one and 40% on the other. So it's between the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. It's a hard one to choose, to be honest with you, because New York Knicks, for example, they need someone like Aldridge who's got that pedigree, got that experience, knows how to score, would be a great starter, front man, come off the bench as well. With the Celtics, you've got that experience off the bench to replace a Horford or a Williams when they're going down or they need minutes and things like that. So it would be a good utility experienced player to add, and that would be one of the final pieces of the jigsaw to give Celtics a proper chance at the title this season. So on that basis, I'm going to go 20% with the New York Knicks, and I'm going to go 40% with the Boston Celtics. I think Boston is the one team in the race. I think they're going to be the leaders of the race out of those 5 to try and get LaMarcus Aldridge. And yeah, I'm confident about that one. If any other team gets him, fair play. But I believe the Boston Celtics are the best team out of those 5 in a position to go for Aldridge, and for the reasons why. Like I said, experienced, knows how to score, perfect addition to Boston, gets minutes off the bench. You know, he's not going to start every game, but he's there as a utility. He's there. If they can agree to a cheap deal, that's even better. It's not all about money. It's all about playing time at the end of the day. If LaMarcus Aldridge agrees to a cheaper deal, then I think it's worth it. So I think Boston is the team that I think LaMarcus is going to go for out of those 5 options. But who do you think he's going to go to? Comment down below your thoughts and opinions. And for now, my name is Aaron Chalner, also known as the CHALL, your sporting vlogger journalist. And that is full time. Bye.